You are what I'm looking for. I know what I'm looking for.
In my previous video, we had created a really fun and easy way to create backgrounds using small stamps for your cards. Today we're going to do sort of a take two of that project and create something similar but different. We're going to be using the Simon Says Stamp Beautiful Butterflies stamp set, and I have a piece of white cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inches. I'm going to grab a pencil and a ruler and find the center of this cardstock and draw a line down the center and then turn it around and draw a line the other way, creating 4 squares on this piece of cardstock. So now we have 4 sections, and when we do our stamping, we're going to focus on one section. We're going to start in one area and continue to work through to create a background. So I've got a mini Misty here, and I have my piece of cardstock butted up into the right hand corner. And for this technique, you need a square piece of cardstock in order for this to work. It could be any size, 6 inches, 4 inches, 3 inches, whatever you want to do, but it needs to be square in order for this technique to work correctly. So I've got my first stamp loaded up onto the door of my Misty, and this piece that we're creating is just going to be a template. So I'm just stamping in a light gray ink so that I can just kind of get all my stamps laid out the way I want it. So I'll stamp the first sentiment here. I'll pick up my cardstock and rotate it 1 turn to the left, and I'm going to go back to the stamp set and find another stamp, and I'm going to be working in that same corner. Every time I turn the cardstock, I'm going to place stamps in that same section. Okay, so I have 2 more stamps loaded up. I'll ink them up with my light gray ink, close the door of the Misty and press, and our pattern is starting to form here. Then I'll pick up my cardstock, turn it 1 more turn to the left, and then go back to the stamp set, find some more stamps, load it up, and making sure that I'm staying sort of within that little section. It's okay if it overlaps just a little bit, but you want to keep in mind that as we turn and stamp, we're going to sort of run into the next section. So we just want to pay attention to how your stamps line up. So I'll pick it up, turn it 1 more time, and then I'm going to grab the Jennycarddesigns Hearty Greetings. I just want the little tiny hearts in this stamp set to fill in some of those empty spaces. So I've got 2 little hearts. I'll place them on my cardstock in that same section we've been working on, pick it up with the door of the Misty, and I'm going to ink up those stamps and press. Now, I'm done choosing stamps. Now I just want to fill in the rest of my pattern. So I'm just going to ink everything up, turn it 4 times until this entire panel is filled. And then we have a full panel of sentiments filled on this piece of cardstock. Now I'll take my paper and I'll flip it over, and I'm going to restamp everything just 1 time. This way I have a little template for future. When I want to create the same pattern, I can just grab my template, line my stamps up over top of the template, and then I'll have everything lined up the exact way that I want them to be. Alright, so let's see this technique in action. I'm going to grab another piece of cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and I have some Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated inks, and I'm going to use 4 different colors, and on each turn I'm going to change the color. So I'll stamp with the first color, close the door of the Misty and press, pick up my paper, turn it 1 turn to the left, ink up my stamps, close the door of the Misty and press, and I'll do that 4 times until we have this gorgeous, cute little pattern with all of our sentiments filled in beautifully. And now we're going to turn this into a card. So I have a panel of black cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And because my pattern is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, I want to extend it so it covers the full panel of my card. So I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to cut it right down the center. It's about 2 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to adhere these down to the top and bottom of my black cardstock, leaving a nice little white border all the way around. And then I've got a piece of black cardstock that measures 2 1/4 and a piece of white cardstock that measures 2 1/8. I'm going to grab a little butterfly from the stamp set, and I'm just going to ink up a little piece of it using that yellow ink. And then I'll grab the next color that I used. I'll have all of the colors linked down below. I can't remember which ones I used. And I'm just going to ink up the center of the butterfly. And then I'll grab the third color. I'm just creating an ombre effect, and I want to include all 4 of the colors that I used to create my background. Now, at some point, I didn't push my cardstock right into the corner of the Misty, so my butterfly kind of got misaligned. But that's okay. I like the way it turned out anyways. So I'm going to also grab a sentiment from that stamp set that says "Beautiful Friend." I will pick it up with Adore My Misty, and I'm going to ink with some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is my favorite ink for stamping sentiments. It's a beautiful pigment ink. It does take a little bit longer to dry, but the results are gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to grab my little panel, attach it to a white card base that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'm going to adhere my little sentiment on the center of the panel where there's that break in the pattern. And then there we go. We have a beautiful, vibrant card. We could make an entire note card collection using our little template here. And then I can stick it with my stamps and save it for future so that I have a template to create beautiful, fun backgrounds using stamps that I sometimes normally wouldn't use. All right, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. If you haven't seen the first video to this little follow-up, then I will leave that linked on screen here, and also a playlist of fun Let's Make a Card videos. Have yourself a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!